there are his accomplishments, top 16 at NAIC, and the team Superior, Metacham, Umbreon, Lantern, Frostlass with its ice typing, and Gligar.
Yeah, so that Frostlass, one of my favorite Pokemon. We will have to see if it is going to make its stand there today. SsThorn with the first competitive tournament here with that first top cut, first finalist. And we have that Clefable and Shadow Dragonair paired with some more meta staples of Swampert, Metacham, Shadow Alolan Sandslash, and Mandibuzz.
You know, SsThorn is 1-for-1 on top cuts. We have a potential making of another Mr. Top Cut here.
We do, 100% of the time. It works every time.
For sure, at least for SsThorn, we are getting our battlers locked in. They're looking over their teams. I talked about it before the interview, that Shadow Dragonair, Dragon Breath damage is looking very oppressive. JJAN does have the Frostlass to try to check it. Another Pokemon that I think he'll have to lean on, though, my favorite on his team, that Umbreon, having the bulk, not resisting any of the damage, however, having the bulk to withstand the damage and throw off those foul plays as quickly as it can.
Yeah, bulk tends to be a big factor here in the championship series. Really just something that being able to outlast your opponent can be really impactful, because you can have all the firepower in the world, but if you can't survive long enough to throw your charge moves, that can be really, really tough.
Yes. I think another interesting thing, we've seen lots of Mandibuzz going for the Dark Pulses as well, but Foul Play pacing a little bit quicker. We'll have to see if it can pace quick enough. Game number 1 of the Grand Finals, Frostlass into that Clefable. We see that Meteor Mash is being reached at the same pacing as Avalanche, but both trainers are just building up energy.
Yeah, and the Shadow Ball and the Moonblast also pace about the same. So taking a look at the Avalanche, it is going to fire first. Clefable knocked far down, and here is that Meteor Mash. JJAN actually opting to shield and try to win that switch advantage. Can Frostlass Powder Snow down before Clefable gets to another move? Not quite. Clefable will reach another Meteor Mash. JJAN says, no, I want switch advantage, even at the cost of both shields.
We've seen JJAN do this before, opting to farm down on Frostlass, get an energy advantage, and throw charged attacks afterwards, back to back to back. In comes the first Shadow Ball into the Alolan Sandslash. I like this from SsThorn, really sacrificing that Alolan Sandslash, recognizing that there's likely a Metacham in the back that can provide a lot of fast attack damage. Saving the shields for the Dragonair. First shield comes up to block a super effective Ice Punch.
Yes, and JJAN with no shields remaining, every single charge move is going to hit. However, SsThorn actually decides to continue throwing Dragon Breaths. I thought perhaps a charge move was going to come out, but instead trying, perhaps going to get as much energy as he can, wanting to build up to 100 before throwing a charge move.
I think he's a little bit frustrated, thinking maybe a Dragon Breath down would have been possible, being incentivized to throw a charge attack there because he was about to cap on energy. You don't really want to go above 100. We see the Aqua Tail coming through here. I don't think this is going to be enough to threaten a knockout. I imagine an immediate switch into the Sandslash. However, it's not going to be quite possible. Instead, the Gligar comes out. This is not a Shadow Gligar. I don't believe an Ice Punch will be enough to knock out.
It's going to take it very low, though. However, I think the Gligar is... it did! It knocked out Alpha Phoebe!
It was just enough to knock out, and now the Shadow Claws are really adding up. If this was a Powder Snow Sandslash, the Frostlass would have so much health remaining. The Avalanche coming through double resisted is more than enough to knock out, but the Dragonair is in the back. One turn fast attacks are just able to put that pressure, and SsThorn receives the first victory in this Grand Finals.
I am gonna need to see that end game again. So much happened in such a short amount of time. We have all these Pokemon with such fast move pressure, and things are happening so quickly there in that end game.
The benefit of a standard Gligar is that it's usually able to survive a single Ice Punch from a Alolan Sand Slash. However, there was enough chip damage so that I believe the Ice Punch just did enough to knock out. Here we see the second shield on the Meteor Mash going down 2 shields and the Ice Punch coming through. I don't think JJAN expected this to knock out, and we see the look on his face, frustrated that it was just enough.
Yeah, and then the Frostlass only having 1 HP remaining, and that Dragon Breath of damage is going to apply before anything else. There's the Dragon Breath, and Frostlass goes down. That was won by a hair by SsThorn here in the Grand Finals. SsThorn, being in the loser side of the bracket, has to not just win a best of 5 here, but would have to win a best of 5 again to reset after resetting the bracket in order to claim the championship today. JJAN only needs to win the best of 5 one time.
Indeed, he does. We know that JJAN is going to prioritize this Frostlass because of the potency of that Shadow Dragonair. In game number 2, we see a Medicham into a Mandibuzz, and the Medicham is going to be building up energy. It is the Ice Punch Dynamic Punch. Medicham throwing the Ice Punch before SsThorn throws his first Aerial Ace.
And there is that first Ice Punch that is going to connect. JJAN being able to strike first and makes a swap, makes a catch of the Aerial Ace onto the Gligar. I'm thinking that is going to look like a very appetizing snack for the Swampert.
Yeah, the Swampert comes in, and I think JJAN was afraid. JJAN was afraid of that menacing Alolan Sand Slash that did so much damage to his team in game number 1. Switching in the Gligar, a counter swap of a Swampert really tells a lot to JJAN, recognizing that there is no Alolan Sand Slash on the side of SsThorn. The Hydro Cannon comes in. I think this is going to be just shy of a knockout, and the Mud Shots are going to be just not enough, and the Gligar's able to reach another Aerial Ace.
But this isn't a Shadow Swampert, so the Swampert can probably tank this with just a little bit health remaining. And who is going to survive it is the Swampert, who is at an Earthquake. So JJAN has to decide who is going to have to handle the Earthquake. Is it the Medicham or the Frostlass? Decides on the Medicham. Will he shield? And he does. That Earthquake is in exchange for 1 Protect Shield on the side of JJAN. However, SsThorn has an opportunity here to put the Mandibuzz on the Medicham. However, there is a Frostlass in the back for the Shadow Dragonair.
Yeah, the Frostlass has 2 Pokemon in the back that take super effective damage from the Ice typing. Ice Punches are being loaded. The next Ice Punch comes out right before the Aerial Ace. I don't think this quite threatens a knockout onto that bulky Mandibuzz. SsThorn likely able to just reach this final Aerial Ace.
Yeah, that Frostlass is looking really good in the back. Alva Feed can easily clean up here against It can easily clean up against the Mandibuzz, and there is the Shadow Dragonair. JJAN probably feeling a little confident.
Yeah, JJAN really needing to build up a lot of energy here. 2 shields on the side of SsThorn, and the Frostlass is not going to be able to reach 2 Avalanches, switching out immediately so that you can get at least 1 Avalanche off the Aqua Tail coming through. This does not threaten a knockout, and you can see JJAN maybe a little bit frustrated, recognizing that this Dragonair has a little bit too much momentum, is going to be able to apply a lot of fast attack pressure here and potentially farm down.
Yeah, I'm seeing what you're seeing. Goes for an undercharge, and I was thinking the Frostlass was going to be able to outpace a little bit more strongly here, but now because of SsThorn had such a commanding shield advantage, this is just not going to be enough. I thought that perhaps the Powder Snows from the Frostlass was going to be able to be a bit more impactful there.
Yeah, maybe sometime in the future where we get a Shadow Frostlass. I know you probably won't use that, but if there was a Shadow Frostlass in the future, those Powder Snows would have been enough to farm down. Unfortunately for JJAN, they're not quite finding the team composition he was looking for. We see the Aerial Ace going into the Swampert. Swampert able to get a big energy advantage from that Mud Shot down.
And the Earthquake in exchange for that Protect Shield. I'm sure SsThorn was hoping that Earthquake was going to end up doing a bit more damage. There is the Mandibuzz taking the second Protect Shield from JJAN, and that's really what set SsThorn up here, is having that 2-shield advantage going into the end game.
Yeah, 2 shields for Shadow Dragonair, able to get the farm down. Not quite enough damage from either of JJAN's Pokemon's fast attacks, surviving the end of that game with just the last slightest amount of HP.
Yes. So will SsThorn continue with that strategy of having the Shadow Dragonair in the back? Has brought it both games here in the grand finals, and remember, brought it all 5 games against Magmarman in the losers finals. So Shadow Dragonair proving a staple. So JJAN can really take that to his advantage, knowing that it's probably going to continue to show up. I think the Frostlass was really impactful in that matchup. Just needed a little bit more, maybe an energy advantage, maybe a shield. Just needed a little bit more to be able to prove useful there.
Yeah, maybe it needs a partner Pokemon that has the bulk to really push through. I think we saw 2 pivots there. SsThorn pivoting away from the Clefable, JJAN pivoting away from the Umbreon. SsThorn doing a great read there, recognizing how impactful his Clefable was, I believe, in game number 1. Here we go into game number 3. JJAN, again, not happy with seeing the Sandslash in the lead because he has his Medicham in the back.
Yeah, you can just see that shake of the head. These beginning of matchups are not going the way he's really hoping that they would. However, Lantern, it's not like it's left without tools to handle a Shadow 1 Sandslash. A Surf does do a formidable chunk of damage, and look at how every single Spark is doing quite a bit.
Yeah, and although JJAN is frustrated, I think he's in a pretty solid spot, able to win either switch or shield advantage in this matchup because you're able to pace to 2 Surfs. Actually, I'm wrong, able to reach the Ice Punch bait here. In the 0 shield scenario, there's going to be a bit of farm for JJAN. I expect SsThorn to potentially switch out in order to prevent a farm down.
Yes, and we have the Medicham coming in against the Mandibuzz.
Mandibuzz going for those snarls, Aerial Ace coming through.
And there is the Aerial Ace coming through onto the Medicham, and it is going to be super effective damage.
Yes, that damage comes through. Ice Punch coming back into the Mandibuzz, going to do a bit of a chip into the Mandibuzz, a little bit of damage removed from its health.
Yes, it did. We are going to see that shield come through for the Medicham, and the Aerial Ace is not going to connect. Medicham continuing to work its way through. Like you mentioned, Alpha Feed, this is a dynamic punch. Medicham, much more useful against this Mandibuzz than Psychic would be.
JJAN has that Frostlass lurking in the back, and you've talked about how the Dragonair has been lurking in the back for SsThorn, but he's continuing to push the shield advantage. No shield from SsThorn, except this time, Medicham has a bit more energy going into the Dragonair. Maybe JJAN not expecting the Dragonair in the back this time, actually able to reach double Ice Punch. And I think based on how we saw the last game play out, if he's able to get both of these Ice Punches off and pivot into that Frostlass, the Frostlass is able to survive the Aqua Tail and will be able to pick up this first victory for JJAN.
There we go. Ice Punch is shielded, takes that Protect Shield away. No shields left in play, and there is that Frostlass. Now, this is a different situation than the Frostlass versus the Shadow Dragonair from earlier. Frostlass here is able to get to the Avalanche and clear the Shadow Dragonair away.
JJAN able to secure his first victory in the grand finals, not being pushed into the bracket reset quite yet. He still has a way to go, though. This is a best of 5, so he needs to win the next 2 games in order to move on and become victorious. And I just saw the quickest lock-in I've ever seen from SsThorn. That was almost immediate.
Yeah, SsThorn has a plan. So taking a look at the replay from that game number 3, the Mandibuzz going down, and Shadow Dragonair in the strategy in the back not working this time. JJAN says, you fooled me twice with that. I have a plan for you this time.
Yeah, 2 shields in the back for the Dragonair. Dragonair, not quite enough this time. So much energy built up onto that Medicham. It was nearly at 3 Ice Punches. It threw the Ice Punch into the Mandibuzz and then 2 more Ice Punches into the Dragonair, having just enough health in order to get those charged attacks off.
Yes, so JJAN having to continue, needs 2 more wins to secure the championship. SsThorn is 1 win away from a grand finals bracket reset. This is a fantastic lead for JJAN with the Frostlass into the Shadow Dragonair. Looks like SsThorn is willing to play it out though.
Yeah, I think because you are going to be able to do a lot of fast attack damage with these Dragon Breaths, you're typically willing to stay in at least for a little while for this matchup. Able to threaten a shield back after this initial avalanche with the Aqua Tail. The Aqua Tail is going to be thrown. Great timing from SsThorn, potentially threatening a knockout. Instead, JJAN throwing up his first shield.
And almost at another Aqua Tail. However, JJAN makes a catch. This is not where SsThorn wanted that Aqua Tail to go. Ineffective damage into the Lantern. I imagine we're going to see a swap out pretty quick here.
Actually opting to stay in a bit interesting. The difficulty for SsThorn here is that his best answer for this Lantern was that Dragonair, and with it off the field, in comes the Clefable, and unlike a matchup against something like Azumarill, Meteor Mass is going to just be truly resisted by both the water and electric typings here, so having to go for that higher energy cost Moonblast.
Yeah, Mandibuzz just not finding the target here that SsThorn is looking for. Here is the Moonblast, gonna knock out the Lantern. There is a full health Mandibuzz in the back, and JJAN to counter it has the Frostlass and the Medicham, but has to clear this Clefable away first.
Yeah, the Clefable is got a little bit of health remaining, and great counting from JJAN there, throwing the Avalanche right before the Meteor Mash was ready. Will he have enough health left to get to another Avalanche for the Mandibuzz in the back? And the answer is yes, he has plenty of health, actually going for optimized move timing instead of just throwing right away.
Yep, that optimized move timing can win or lose trainers some matchups. Frostlass going for the Avalanche, making a swap, and then here is the Medicham. Mandibuzz has no shields remaining, but the Medicham still has a shield to hide behind, so can protect up against one of these aerial aces.
I think JJAN is in the driver's seat here. Mandibuzz had a significant energy advantage. However, the Medicham, as you mentioned, has the shield advantage, and you don't really have to worry about baits coming from this Mandibuzz because aerial ace is going to be thrown basically all of the time by the Mandibuzz.
And here is the Ice Punch. JJAN 1 counter away from a second Ice Punch, which will be enough to likely knock out the Mandibuzz or come really, really close. There is that Ice Punch. Will it be enough for the knockout?
I think it might be just a hair short, but the counter afterwards should secure this game for JJAN. It is going to be 2-2, all things tied up in the grand finals. It's like we have moved forward from a best of 5 to a best of 1. Everything rides on this last game.
It does. That was such an intense matchup. I was really surprised with that Shadow Dragonair staying in against the Lantern. Here is that catch of the Aqua Tail, and then allowing JJAN's Lantern to get that energy from the Shadow Dragonair was a little surprising to me.
Yeah, no shielding the Moonblast, letting the Lantern go, getting a nice overfarm on the Frostlass to carry another Avalanche into the Mandibuzz. And then the end of the game, the Medicham getting to this final Ice Punch plus one more counter, excuse me, to get that knockout.
We have a decisive Game 5 here in the Grand Finals. If JJAN wins this one, he is the Toronto Regional Champion. If SsThorn wins, we move into a bracket reset where SsThorn would have to take another best of 5 in order to claim the championship. This is JJAN's game to win or lose.
So much pressure on this moment. What team do you lock in? Where do you want your best Pokemon to be? Are you going to try to save the Dragonair for the back or lead it again? We're seeing actually a Swampert into a Frostlass. This is a pretty neutral matchup. Both Pokemon, no Shadow variants, are able to tank one charge attack from the other Pokemon.
No, this is going to be a battle of heavy charged attacks. Here comes that first Frostlass charged attack, going for the Avalanche, and boom! Lands on the Swampert, but the Swampert already at 2 Hydro Cannons.
Yeah, Swampert has a slight advantage here, able to pace to those Hydro Cannons a bit quicker. We see 2 loaded already. Do we see an attempted catch from JJAN? No, instead, staying in the Frostlass. We've seen him do this in, I believe it was game 1, going for a shield and then farm down. This Swampert cannot reach another charge attack, but now SsThorn has that Dragonair in the back, and it has a shield advantage. Coming in actually with the Dragonair here, going for a farm down after having shielded up this Avalanche, maybe taking a bit of a note from JJAN's book of an aggressive farm down.
And that Frostlass leaves the battlefield, comes in with the Medicham instead. And then we can see in the back, this looks really good for JJAN, having a Lantern potentially being able to be put on that Mandibuzz.
Yeah, that's a massive line call from JJAN, keeping the Lantern in the back, expecting the Mandibuzz, putting the Lantern in the best possible spot, also recognizing that SsThorn's best answer in the Dragonair is on the field. Body Slam comes through, does about half of Medicham's remaining HP. Another Body Slam is reached. What does JJAN do? Does he want to try to counter down, or does he go for a Spark Down? The answer is preserve the Medicham.
Yeah, will we see a swap? We do. There is the Mandibuzz, and I think JJAN sees it and is excited. You see him lean back in his chair and nod his head. He knows that Lantern has the clear upper hand, or the upper fin, I would say, in this matchup.
Umbreon, excuse me, the flying Umbreon of Mandibuzz, able to fight back a little bit with these Dark Pulses. We're seeing another Dark Pulse come out, but there are no shields remaining. That means JJAN does not need to worry about Surf Baiting, going straight for those super effective Thunderbolts. Sparks doing a little bit more damage now than in the previous season, able to get a much cleaner farm down. JJAN giving a smile, rocking in his chair, feeling great, gets the entire Spark down, a Surf loaded, and even though this Surf is resisted, gets the charge attack, and this will be more than enough to knock out the Dragonair.
And with this Surf washing away the Dragonair, JJAN11 is your Toronto Regional Champion.
Congratulations, JJAN, able to perform with the meta team, able to take it all the way to the grand finals and secure his ticket to Honolulu, Hawaii.